Assalamu alaikum, dear students of 11th class. As you know, we are reading a lesson from the text Hornbill titled Landscape of the Soul, written by Nathalie Traviroy. In today's lesson, we will be discussing last para page 35. Dear students, Landscape of the Soul, written by Nathalie Traviroy, is about how different the Chinese art form is from the European art form. The writer uses two stories to make a contrast. European art is about reproducing an actual view, whereas Chinese art is about not creating a real landscape. Dear students, now let me read the text that is from the last para, page 35. Page 35, the last para of page 35. A classical Chinese landscape is not meant. A classical Chinese landscape is not meant to reproduce an actual view. To reproduce an actual view, as would a Western figurative painting, whereas the European painter wants you to borrow his eyes and look at a particular landscape exactly as he saw it from a specific angle. The Chinese painter does not choose a single viewpoint. His landscape is not a real one, and you can enter it from any point. Then travel in it. The artist creates a path for your eyes to travel up and down, then back again in a leisurely moment. There is This is even more true in the case of the horizontal scroll, in which the action of slowly opening one section of the painting opening one section of the painting uh, Chinese painter does not choose a single viewpoint. His landscape is not a real one, and you can enter it from any point, then travel in it. The artist creates a path for your eyes to travel up and down, then back in a leisurely moment. This is even more true in the case of the horizontal scroll, in which the action of slowly opening one section of the painting, then rolling it up to the move on to the other adds a dimension of time which is unknown in any other form of painting. It also requires the active participation of the viewer, who decides at what space he will travel through the painting, a participation which is physical as well as mental. The Chinese painter does not want you to borrow his eyes, he wants you to enter his mind. The landscape is an inner one, a spiritual and conceptual space. The landscape is an inner one, a spiritual and conceptual space. Here are in this para, this was text last para of page 35. Now there are some difficult words. Now let me tell you the meaning of these difficult words. Figurative painting. Figurative painting means metaphoric representation of an art. Figurative painting means metaphoric representation of an art. Leisurely means unhurried or relaxed. Conceptual space means a relation with an abstract representation. Relation with an abstract relation. A relation with an abstract representation. Conceptual space means relation with an abstract representation. Dear students, let me explain this para. The Chinese landscape painting The Chinese landscape painting is not made with a real viewpoint, right? The Chinese landscape painting is not made with a real viewpoint, but it is a representation of the artist's thoughts. But it is a representation of the artist's thoughts. The Western painting in Europe is a figurative art form. The European painter paints a landscape to show you a specific scene of the landscape, whereas the Chinese painter does not choose a real viewpoint. You can enter the painting from any point and can travel anywhere where your thoughts and imagination take you. Right? You can enter the painting from any point and you can travel anywhere where your thoughts and imagination takes you. The Chinese artist wants you to travel by creating your own path, right? The Chinese artist wants you, that he wants the people to travel by creating their own path and then come out in a relaxed moment. In China, this mode of seeing a painting is more enjoyable. A horizontal scroll is a form where one section of the painting is opened one by one by rolling it up to move on the other side. It creates a dimension which is not practiced in any other form of network. It creates a dimension which is not practiced in any other form of work or in any other form of artwork. It requires both mental and physical participation of the viewer, right? This painting requires both mental and physical participation of the viewer. The Chinese painter wants to enter his mind and see the painting from his thoughts. The Chinese painter wants you or wants the people to enter their minds and see the painting from his thoughts. The landscape created by the Chinese artist is spiritual, inner, and of conceptual or abstract space. Now, next para. The concept is expressed as shan shui. San shui. This concept is expressed as shan shui. Shui. This concept is expressed as shan shui, literally mountain water, which used together represent the word landscape. More than two elements of an image, these represent two complementary poles, reflecting the Taoist view of the universe. The mountain is yang, reaching vertically towards heaven, stable, warm, and dry in the sun, while the water is yin, horizontal, and resting on the earth, fluid, moist, and cool. The interaction of yin, the receptive feminine aspect of universal angry energy, and its counterpart yang, active and masculine, is of course a fundamental notion of Taoism. What is often overlooked is an essential third element, the middle void where their interaction takes place. While their interaction takes place, this can be compared with the yogi practice of pranayama, breath in, retain, breath out. The suspension of breath is the void where mediation occurs. The middle void is essential, nothing can happen without it, hence, the importance of the white, unpainted space in Chinese landscape. This was the first para, page 36. There are some difficult words. Let me tell you the meaning of these words. Taoism means a Chinese philosophy based on the writing of Lao Tzu. Taoism means a Chinese philosophy based on the writing of Lao Tzu. Void means empty or vacant or null. Let me explain this para. Dear students, the Chinese concept of art is also expressed as shan shui, which also means mountain water, right? The Chinese concept of art is also expressed as shan shui, which also means mountain water. It's used together to represent the world landscape, right? It is used together to represent the world landscape. The two complementary poles of an image reflect the Taoist view. Taoist view. The mountain in the landscape is Zhang, which means to reach vertically towards heaven, stable, warm, and dry in the sun, whereas the water is the yin, which is receptive and feminine aspect of universal energy. The yang is active and masculine, and the opposite of yin. There is a third essential element which is a middle void, which is the place where they interact. The middle void can be compared to pranayama, which means to breath in, retain, and breath out. Here, the suspension of the breath is the void in this mediation process. It is an essential part as nothing can happen without it. Hence, the white, unpainted space in Chinese landscape is equally important. Now there is last para. This is, let me read the last para from the text. This is this is also this is also where the man finds a fundamental role in that space between heaven and earth. He becomes the conduit of communication between both poles of the universe. His presence is essential, even if it is only suggested, far from being lost or oppressed by the lofty speaks. He is in Francois Ching's wonderful expression, the eye of the landscape. This is an excerpt from Landscape of the Soul, Ethics and Spirituality in Chinese painting, slightly edited. So here in this para, starting from this is also where man finds a fundamental role up to the eye of the landscape. There are some difficult words. Conduct, conduct means channel, tube. Conduct means channel or tube. Oppressed means burdened or worried. Lofty means tall or high. Here in this para, dear students, the writer says that the middle void is where a man finds an important role. Man is the channel of the communication in the space between heaven and earth, which are the two poles of the universe. Right? Man is the channel of the communication in the space between heaven and earth, which are the two poles of the universe. Man's presence is essential, right? Man's presence is essential. It is not being lost or suppressed due to high peaks, but he is the eye of the landscape. Thank you very much.